Okay, we're already started, so we're going to go straight over to the House of Commons.
Manfred Goldberg. He showed the most extraordinary courage to share his testimony, and in his memory, we must ensure that never again means never again. Mr. Speaker, I welcome the news that SSE have announced that they will spend £33 billion on clean energy projects in this country. That's a major vote of confidence in the UK economy, happening because of our decisions to embrace the opportunities of clean power. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Good job. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I associate myself with the Prime Minister's remarks about remembrance? I particularly remember in 1997 in West Africa, where I somehow managed to survive a bloody and violent attempted coup. So if the Prime Minister wants any ideas about how to do that, he only has to ask. The Prime Minister's questions last week was, Mr. Speaker, an absolute bin fire. So if the Prime Minister is indeed intent on promoting the United Kingdom on the world stage, please can he promise the House
it's a bit
that
rich.
he will never, ever, ever be away on a Wednesday ever again?
You mean the one where the Tory guy asked the same question 6 times?
It's to hear from the successor for Kwasi Kwarteng's constituency, Mr. Speaker. I'm very proud to represent our country on the world stage. Last week in COP, before that in NATO, and it's because of the reputation we've rebuilt over the last 15, 16 months that other countries now want to do trade deals with us and want to place their orders with us.
Sally Jamieson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and can I also associate myself with the remarks from the Prime Minister? The Prime Minister will be aware of the campaign run by the trustees of the British Coal Staff Superannuation Scheme, which is campaigning to return a £2.3 billion investment reserve back to its members, 700 of which are in Doncaster Central. The Labour government delivered on its manifesto pledge for the MPS scheme last year, so will the Prime Minister also ensure that fairness and justice is delivered to the BCSS members at the upcoming budget, and will he meet with me and other Coalfield MPs to discuss further?
Well, I know how committed she is to righting historic wrongs for our mining communities, and I can assure her so am I. She will know we've already transferred £1.5 billion that was wrongly kept from over 100,000 former mine workers. Ministers, as she knows, have met the BCSS trustees on several occasions. The Industry Minister is meeting them later on today, and I'll make sure that she's updated in relation to that.
Kemi Badenoch, the Leader of the
Opposition. Oh, here we go. Wow, is she going to land a punch?
Speaker. And can I associate my party with the Prime Minister's comments about Remembrance Week, and also his comments on Manfred Goldberg and Mervyn Kirsch, who is in the gallery today? Mr. Speaker, this morning on the BBC, the Health Secretary said there is a toxic culture in Downing Street that needs to change. He's right, isn't he?
Mr. Speaker, my focus each and every day is on rebuilding and renewing our country. But let me be absolutely clear, any attack on any member of my cabinet is completely unacceptable. On the Health Secretary, Mr. Speaker, in relation to Health Secretary, he promised before the election that in the first year of a Labour government we'd deliver 2 million extra appointments. We didn't deliver 2 million, or 3 or 4. We delivered 5 million extra appointments.
I said that this morning.
And today the Health Secretary is in Manchester, where he's announcing that because of the action he's taken to abolish NHS England, he's putting more people on the front line. He's doing a great job.
They're talking about Wes Streeting, by the way.
Mr. Speaker, what we heard the Health Secretary say this morning was that he wants to cut waiting lists, but we all know that there's only one waiting list that he really wants to cut. But the Prime Minister is not going to do anything about the toxic culture. This is his responsibility. Just last night, his allies accused not just the Health Secretary, but the Home Secretary and even the Energy Secretary of launching leadership bids. These attacks came from Number 10, nowhere else, his toxic Number 10. The person responsible for the culture in Number 10 is his Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney. Does the Prime Minister have full confidence in him?
Ooh! Oh, yes.
My team and I are absolutely focused on delivering for the
He has
country.
said yes.
And let me be clear, of course, Mr. Speaker, I've never authorised a tax on cabinet members.
Not answer the question.
I appointed them to their posts because they're the best people to carry out their jobs.
Yeah, cabinet members.
Mr. Speaker, she asks about waiting lists.
What about McSweeney?
Under this government.
She asked about McSweeney.
The number of GPs is up.
She asked about McSweeney.
Because we've scrapped NHS England, we're investing.
He's on his way out.
That's what
I'm
the
calling
NHS
it.
is doing today.
He's on his way out.
He's doing a very good job
He
too.
just didn't say he had confidence in him. She got him.
Mr. Speaker, I didn't hear him give full confidence
Yeah.
to Morgan McSweeney.
No.
But the truth is, he says
No.
these attacks aren't authorised. That means he's lost control of number 10, because that's where they're coming from. But the real scandal, Mr. Speaker, the real scandal is that 2 weeks from a budget, the government has descended into civil war. Instead of fixing the mess they've made of the economy, they're all...
Bit rich of the
Mr.
Tories
Speaker,
stuff like
they're
that.
all chuntering. These are the feral MPs that number 10 has been talking about. They're not my words. They're number 10's words, his words. But unbelievably, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister's advisors have been reduced to briefing that MPs can't get rid of him, and I'm not making this up, they can't get rid of him because it would destabilise international markets. Why does the Prime Minister think that there would be a market meltdown if the Health Secretary took over?
Mr. Speaker, this is a united team and we are delivering together. Look what we're delivering. The fastest growth of the G7. 5 interest rate cuts.
No. Okay.
3 deals with the EU,
All right. So he's.
the US and India, all of which they oppose. We've delivered.
Sorry, I've just got to stop it there. He's not answering the question, is he? This is pretty bad for Keir Starmer. He might bluster now and say, we've done this, we've done that, and get all those backbenchers to cheer at the end of it. But I think that is absolutely damning that he did not say he had full confidence in his Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney. He's got to go. He has got to go.
I can update the House.
If people want to audition for a pantomime, I suggest you go to the Old Vic.
Cup of tea!
Can update the House.
Cup
The
of
Bank
tea.
England has upgraded growth today.
Go get yourself a
We've
cup of
secured
tea.
£230 billion of private investment. And just this morning, I thought she might welcome it, the SSE have announced £33 billion of investment in clean power. That's what this team are
Yeah,
delivering.
McSweeney's
for the
not a
country,
cabinet
fixing
member.
the mess that they left.
14 years!
He's talking about growth and investment. While the Prime Minister desperately tries to cling on to his own job, perhaps he understands what it's like for all those people out there losing their jobs. How can he talk about growth? Yesterday, we learned that unemployment has risen to the same rate as it was in lockdown. 180,000 jobs lost, Mr. Speaker. Why does the Prime Minister think that unemployment has risen every single month since Labour took office?
Mr. Speaker, let me give the House the details. 329,000 people more are in work since the start of this year. So 329,000 more are in work. Of course, I accept we need to do more in relation to unemployment. That's why we're transforming job centres, which they opposed. That's why we're working with 60 major businesses to tackle ill health in the workplace and invested £3.8 billion in tailored back-to-work support, which they opposed. I would also remind the Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Speaker, that the average unemployment in the 14 years of her government was 5.4%, higher than the rate today.
See,
Mr. Speaker, we left...
I mean, we laugh about how bad Kemi Badenoch is with this. I mean, that second question was a very good one, though, about Morgan McSweeney. Very pointed. That might actually cut through. So that's good. But we laugh about, like, just how bad at it she is. But the reality is, like, she's stuck between them. And I'm not trying to make excuses for her because, I hate her. Obviously, she's a Tory. But she's stuck because she can't, every time she comes up with someone to criticise Labour about, quite rightly, the unemployment figures have gone up. So, yeah, let's criticise about that. He can just stand up and go, yeah, but it was worse under you. Everything, the defence, potholes in the road, education, the NHS. You could just say, oh, it's worse under you.
Employment higher than it was after the last Labour government. And let me tell him now what is causing it is his disastrous budget last year. That is what has caused the increase in unemployment. And so, to be clear, for all those Labour MPs shaking their heads, it's last year's tax rises that have killed jobs, and that's what's going to trigger this year's tax rises. This is the tax doom loop, and there is only one way out of it, and that is to cut spending. So why is the Prime Minister instead offering welfare giveaways to save his own skin?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'll tell the Opposition why we increased national insurance. It's because of the mess that they left the country in. The NHS on its knees. Now we've got 5 million extra appointments, waiting lists down, and 2,500 more GPs as a result of our decisions. But it's nearly the one-year anniversary, but she still hasn't told us in relation to national insurance whether she agrees and admits that we should do it, or if not, if that's her position, how she would find the money that we raised in the budget. She's had a whole year to think about that question. Perhaps now she can give us an answer.
Mr. Speaker, I wouldn't have made the stupid mistake in the first place of putting up the jobs tax and killing jobs. Since they came in, it's been disaster after disaster. The Deputy Prime Minister, the new Deputy Prime Minister, is clueless about how many illegal migrant sex offenders he's let loose. The Culture Secretary breaking the rules to give her donor a top job. Taxes set to rise even further. Unemployment at levels not seen since lockdown. And in the middle of it, a weak Prime Minister at war with his own cabinet. Mr. Speaker, it's not just him, it is all of them. There is no replacement, it is all of them. 2 weeks before the budget, isn't it the case that this Prime Minister has lost control of his government, he's lost the confidence of his party, and lost the trust of the British people?
Okay, gotta give it to her. That was a blow.
For 14 long years, they broke the economy, and now they think that they can lecture us. And now they've got this unserious idea that they can find £47 billion of cuts without saying where they're going to come from. No wonder that's called flimsy. Meanwhile, we're rebuilding the country. Wages up, investment up, mortgages down.
I'm not have to use that one for a while.
Order. Mr. Phil. You are meant to be a senior person on this front bench. You're meant to set an example. It's certainly a bad one today. Sir Joseph.
Mr. Speaker, despite extra government funding, adult social care services in my community are in disarray. My constituents are also facing a new fire risk because we don't have a fully functioning fire authority. This has all been caused by the dysfunction at Kent County Council because so many reform councillors have been suspended for bad behaviour. So does the Prime Minister share my concern that reform chaos is a risk to public safety?
My sympathy is with the people of Kent whose lives are being disrupted by the staggering incompetence of reform. Mr. Speaker, Kent County Council was supposed to be the blueprint for what reform would deliver across the country. Now we can see what that means. Cutting local services, raising council tax, failing to protect the public. That's all reform have to offer. Grievance, division and total incompetence.
Of the Liberal Democrats.
Yay! Sensible question time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I associate myself with the earlier remarks of the Prime Minister and say what a great honour it was to join the royal family at the Cenotaph on Remembrance Sunday to pay our respects to all those heroes who gave their lives for our country. We must never forget the sacrifice they made for our freedoms. Mr. Speaker, a great British institution is under attack from a foreign government.
The BBC.
President Trump is trying to destroy our BBC, not because he cares about the truth, but because he doesn't want to get away with his lies. Trump has undermined press freedom in America. Now he's trying to do the same here, disgracefully egged on by the leader of reform. So will the Prime Minister tell President Trump to drop his demand for $1 billion settlement from the BBC? And will he guarantee that President Trump will not get a single penny from British licence fee payers?
Yes.
Let me be clear, I believe in a strong and independent BBC. Some would rather the BBC didn't exist. Some of them are sitting up there. I'm not one of them. In an age of disinformation, the argument for impartial British news service is stronger than ever. And where mistakes are made, they do need to get their house in order, and the BBC must uphold the highest standards, be accountable and correct errors quickly. But I will always stand up for a strong, independent BBC.
Ed Davey.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is right that the BBC's independence and impartiality are absolutely crucial. That's why we must stop President Trump from undermining them. Yeah. But President Trump's not the only one, Mr. Speaker. The last government spent years undermining the BBC's independence.
Get rid of Robbie Gibb. Get rid of Robbie Gibb, God say it.
Conservative cronies on the BBC board. One has had to resign, the other's still there.
God, did
but
you
he's
see
been repeatedly
Kemi Badenoch smiling then?
of interfering in editorial decisions and staff appointments. Robbie Gibb should have no role in appointing the next Director General. And given the Royal Charter gives the government the power to remove him, will the Prime Minister sack him now?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Speaker, I certainly agree with the comment that the last government undermined the work of the BBC. They undermined pretty well everything they did in 14 years. Mr. Speaker, I'm not going to go into the individual runnings of the BBC. I am a strong supporter of the BBC in the terms
the individual runnings.
Don't puppy.
Thank you.
This is the stupidity of Labour. They're falling into the same trap as the Democrats. They think that the opposition to them are reasonable people who'll play it. You know, they'll have a rematch next year if they lose at the cricket game, and everyone runs by the rules and everyone knows what the rules are, and the umpires are impartial. In this game, you win or you die. It's as simple as that. And what Labour are doing and what the Democrats in America have done is allowed the right, the vampires, not the umpires, on the right to destroy everything we know and love. And you've got to stop them. You've got to stop them. And it's no good going, well, you know, due process has got to take its course. No, go after them. Go after them with crazed intent and the full force, the full backing of the British government and the British the institution of Britain behind them. That's what they need to do. None of this, well, you know, we got the job, didn't he? What? I mean, it was obvious he was given the job by his cronies in the Tory party, and he is interfering in the editorial independence of the BBC. But what you gonna do, eh? No. Tell you what we can do, use the full force of the British government, use the Royal Charter to get rid of that motherfucker, maybe even put him in jail, and get all his assets, right? And then spread out all his assets amongst us normal people.
Mr. Speaker, this is Care Leavers Month, when we remember the resilience and the brilliance of our young people who have grown up in care. And I was delighted to welcome a group of Southampton's care leavers to share their views with the Minister recently. But while this Labour government is taking real action to support care leavers, a Reform councillor has disgracefully described children in care as downright evil. Will the Prime Minister...
Wow.
He said it. Will the Prime Minister, and I hope the whole House, join me in condemning Reform's vile rhetoric, and will he reassure us that this Labour government will continue to support the protections and opportunities for all our care leavers?
Well, Mr. Speaker, November marks the first ever Care Leavers Month, and that is a time to recognise that every child deserves support to achieve their potential. And through our landmark Children's Wellbeing Bill, we're requiring every local authority to help care leavers find secure accommodation. It saddens me that the parties opposite voted against it. The comments about children in care being evil are utterly appalling. And now the member for Clacton has heard them. I'm sure he'll want to condemn them right now.
Nigel Farage.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. No, I've only got 30 seconds. The Prime Minister...
Go on, say sorry. Say sorry.
The Prime Minister has stated very clearly that he wants to close the migrant hotels by the end of this Parliament.
He didn't apologise, did he?
The Reform-led West Northamptonshire Council, brilliantly led council, will be issuing
5% increase in the council tax
notices on 3 migrant hotels within the next few days in response
30 seconds up, mate.
to grave public concern about the safety of women and girls on the streets of West Northamptonshire.
God, so ugly.
Would the Prime Minister approve of us speeding up the closure of the migrant hotels?
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, we will grit the mess we inherited and close every hotel. At their peak, under the previous government, there were 400 hotels. Now there are only 200 remaining. But he says he doesn't have time to condemn the comments calling children in care evil. He's also not had the time, it appears, to condemn the racist comments of his own MP. Utterly spineless.
Jeff Smith. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last week I visited the new diagnostic centre at Withington Community Hospital, and as well as the 85,000 new appointments it's going to create, I was really pleased to see the new solar panels and heat pumps being designed into the building. So in the week of COP, and can I thank the Prime Minister for his climate leadership and attending COP, in the week of COP, what more can we do to ensure that new public buildings have green energy designed into them?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I was very proud to attend COP last week, and the UK is leading on tackling climate change, delivering energy security and getting bills down and generating hundreds of jobs across the country. We're investing over £250 million to put rooftop solar on schools, hospital and military sites across the country, and that will deliver £400 million of savings to renew our public services.
Prime Minister, successive governments impose massive environmental tariffs on customers using UK-produced renewable electricity, but far less on imported carbon fuel mains gas. This is the main reason why those not on the gas grid, i.e. those living in rural Britain, pay a great deal more to heat their properties. Yes, renewable projects are important, but the huge environmental tariffs on our electricity bills are not fair. Would the Prime Minister acknowledge this injustice and commit his government to addressing this? Thank you.
Can I absolutely recognise the need to address the imbalance between electricity and gas prices? We are exploring options to create a fairer system, and I'm happy for ministers to keep him updated on what we're looking at. It's thanks to those levies and Labour's expansion of the warm homes discount that 6 million families will be getting £150 off their energy bills this winter. And I know that he will welcome the £33 billion in investment from SSE, helping connect clean energy to areas across Scotland where it's most needed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Prior to the general election, the Health Secretary visited Amber Valley and declared it an NHS dentistry desert. Since then, I've secured £240,000 of additional funding, encouraged my constituents to access the 16,300 emergency appointments in Derbyshire, and last week secured thousands of extra UDAs. But there is more to do. So can the Prime Minister update me on the progress of the contract negotiations with the BDA and the timescale that the department is working to?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm appalled that we inherited such a situation where tooth decay is the most common reason where children between 5 and 9 are admitted to hospital. Every children's hospital under their watch going in 5 to 9. I was very shocked when I heard this the first time at Alderhay Hospital up in the northwest, that more children being admitted to have their teeth taken out because they're rotting between the ages of 5 to 9 than any other operation. That was their record. They should just be ashamed of it. Ashamed of it. It's why I'm determined to rebuild NHS dentistry. I can confirm that discussions are underway with the sector, including the British Dental Association, on fundamental reform to the dental contract to get her constituents the care that they need and that they deserve.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Jehut's pharmacy has been responsible for repeated closures, leaving staff unpaid and residents without access to vital medicine. Unfit pharmacy owners like Sarabjit Jehuti, who has severely neglected patients and staff in West Dorset and across England, should not be running our care system. Will the Prime Minister make time in the parliamentary schedule for emergency legislation to give the government and the regulators powers to pay staff, tackle improper pharmacy owners and directors, and make sure scandals like this can never happen again?
Can I thank him for raising this really serious issue, which has been raised by others across these benches on previous occasions, and it is a very serious issue. It is simply not right that customers and staff have been so badly let down. The Care Minister has convened representatives from across the industry to resolve the situation as quickly as possible, and I want to reassure him that we're working speedily to consider how to strengthen regulation of these pharmacies, and I'll update the House as soon as I can.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. During the assisted dying debates, I and many others highlighted the importance of palliative care provided by hospices, but this vital work has been left reliant on donations and charity for far too long, and Garden House Hospice in Letchworth is now facing a serious funding gap. I welcome government investment in hospices, but will the Prime Minister consider broader reform to put hospice funding on a sustainable footing, and can he ensure ministers meet with me to explore every option to keep Garden House Hospice open?
I'm pleased to tell him that £100 million has now been passed to Hospice UK, so places like Garden House in his constituency can create the best environment to deliver care. That's backed, Mr. Speaker, by £26 million investment for children and young people's hospices. We're also investing over £3 million in researching palliative and end-of-life care through the National Institute for Health and Care Research. We're working on further proposals to improve the access, quality and sustainability of care, and I'll make sure that ministers keep him updated.
Rebecca Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to ask the Prime Minister for his help. It's been over 6 months since the Supreme Court ruling on the meaning of sex, yet public institutions are still knowingly and intentionally
go fuck yourself, you
breaching the law.
fucking transphobic
HMP
fuck.
Downview, a
Here we
women's
go.
prison in Banstead,
A bit
has
of
5
transphobia for you.
biological males in it. And if that wasn't bad enough, those
Biological
males
males.
are
Do you
mixing
mean
with
trans-
the women in
trans
the
women?
daytime without adequate supervision.
Stop misgendering people.
Will the Prime Minister ensure biological males are moved out of women's prisons immediately?
Fucking transphobic fucking...
Well, can I be, the Supreme Court
Haverden.
ruling must be implemented in full and at all
Fuck
levels.
off.
She's absolutely right about that.
How about you
she's raised
clean up
these
your
examples with me.
legislation
I will,
from
make sure
2010?
they're looked into.
How about you clean up
Make sure she gets a proper
legislation?
reply in relation to the particular examples.
Fucking arseholes. Dickheads.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Way to lose votes.
With miles of golden sand and a bucket full of memories, Rill has been attracting visitors for generations. After millions of pounds of Welsh Government investment and a £20 million UK Government neighbourhood fund, Rill is on the up. Does the Prime Minister agree with me that only with 2 Labour governments working together can we restore pride in our Welsh seaside towns? Join me for a stroll on our new promenade to see just what Rill has to offer.
There was a famous scene in the TV show Brookside where Sinbad got blown up in the parade to the shops, and he was in the basement and they didn't know whether he was dead or alive, and they finally broke through after a couple of days, and he was in the basement. He was up to here in water, and they said, "Are you all right, Sinbad?" And he said, "I'm cold, I'm wet and I'm miserable. Am I in Rill?"
That's a very appealing invitation just at the moment. Mr. Speaker, I'm proud to be putting power and resources directly back in the hands of local people in communities like Rill. That £20 million can be used for issues that matter most to them, include revitalising their high street, a cause that I know is crucial to many residents, including hers. Just 1 in 14 communities across Wales is benefiting from the Pride in Place funding. This is the renewal you get with a Labour government working with a Labour government in Cardiff.
Max Wilkinson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Maternity services are a vital part of women's healthcare, but sadly too many women are being failed. At Cheltenham General Hospital, the Evita Birth Centre was temporarily closed for labour and births back in 2022. Last week we learned that there will be no decision about a potential plan for reopening it until spring next year. Does the Prime Minister agree with me that 4 years is far too long to ask local mums-to-be to wait? And can he give me reassurance that a temporary downgrade that was made under the Conservatives will not become permanent under his government?
I tell him that our starting point is that we must always make sure that every mother is heard, understood and gets the quality of care that is needed. The Independent National Maternity Investigation and Local Health Needs Assessment are due to report in spring of next year, as he says. It's right that the recommendations of both of them are closely considered in any decision for Cheltenham, and I'll make sure that he's kept updated as that rolls out.
Jim Dixon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I say that I've long thought that both you and the Prime Minister would suit a magnificent moustache, and I'm sure you'd be capable of growing a better one than this. Many of us men in this House and outside are growing our tash out this month to highlight the need for our health system and men ourselves to address preventable and treatable conditions to which all men are vulnerable, including prostate cancer, testicular cancer and mental health conditions such as depression. Does the Prime Minister agree that the forthcoming first ever men's health strategy, soon to be published, must lead to a major step change in the way our country helps men stay well?
Well, as he knows, my #1 priority is growth, so I'm very glad to see his upper lip. He's obviously championing this himself. And can I send my best wishes to everyone growing a moustache this Movember? It is right, Mr. Speaker, to highlight that men are hit harder by a range of conditions, including cancer, cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes. And that's why our men's health strategy will set out actions to improve the health of all men in England.
Rupert Murdoch.
Thank you, Mr.
Rupert
Speaker.
Murdoch? What?
Every week we hear of a brutal murder, rape or
Oh my God,
stabbing,
Rupert Lowe.
far too often perpetrated by
God.
someone who should not
Where's
be
my
in our
clown?
country to begin
There we
with.
go.
Does the Prime Minister
have a
agree
clown.
that for cases where the guilt is so undeniable,
Right,
the
yeah.
crime so monstrous, the evil so irredeemable, the reintroduction
Evil so
of the death
irredeemable, is that-
penalty
are you-
for both foreign
is that you?
and domestic criminals should be put to the British people in a legally binding
Go
referendum?
fuck off. Fucking idiot.
Can I first say that any attack is to be
Bring back
condemned,
the death
and it is
penalty.
absolutely right, and we're determined that there is a criminal justice response in relation to attack, however it's carried out and whoever it's carried out by. But reintroducing the death penalty is not the answer to this. It didn't work when it was in place. It led to the death of those that, in fact, what turned out were innocent. But what we must do is improve, as we are, the criminal justice response in this country.
Kemi Badenoch.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to pay tribute to a new veterans group in Stevenage called the Muster Point, founded by Stuart Mendelsohn and Steve Black. Last week, I joined them at a continuous 72-hour vigil at Stevenage War Memorial, where veterans shared stories of family and friends lost in war. But veterans deserve more than just our tributes. So will the Prime Minister commit to working with veterans in Stevenage and across the UK in delivering this government's new veteran strategy in full?
Delivering! One of the greatest honours in this role is meeting and thanking our armed forces for their service, which obviously we've been able to do during the course of this weekend and this week. Our ambition is to bring the Armed Forces Covenant fully into law in the next Armed Forces Bill, and we will do so. We're also renewing the contract with those who serve through our veterans strategy, including Homes for Heroes, a new network of support centres connecting charities and services with veterans. And Labour patriots stand with all those who serve and have served our country.
Stuart Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And on that point, with the upcoming vote on the Northern Ireland Troubles Bill, 9 of the most respected and experienced generals of a generation have publicly attacked the government's approach on lawfare against our armed forces. They have said it will erode trust in the justice system and it is a
Lawfare.
threat
These are the
to
Tories
national
talking about
security.
lawfare.
As a veteran who served in Northern Ireland during the Troubles, does the Prime Minister think they're all wrong? And when is he actually going to start standing up for our veterans?
What else?
Can I begin by thanking him for his service to our country? And when former service chiefs raise an issue, we will, of course, engage with them. Of course, I respect their service and their views, and will do so. We are having to get rid of unlawful legislation and putting in place a system with clear rights and protections for veterans.
But also the
and we'll continue
victims.
to try to get that balance right.
But also the victims of crime. I mean, look, if a soldier commits a crime, a war crime, yeah, throw the book at them. They're not supposed to do that.
Very much, Mr. Speaker. 4 years ago, I brought in a private member's bill to ban the sale of wet wipes with plastic in. The last government dragged its feet. These wet wipes cause fatbergs in our sewers and millions of pounds on our water bills for all of our constituents and pollute rivers and seas. This government promised to bring in this ban and is doing so now. Will the Prime Minister join with me on celebrating a Labour promise delivered and share the message that we should always bin wet wipes and other wipes, not flush them?
Well,
Deliver.
Commend her. She's been a long-standing campaigner on this important issue, and the public is right to be furious about how the last government allowed sewage.
Can we just, before we talk about wet wipes and stuff in the sewage system, look, Ernie Burns in the chat saying lawfare is such bollocks, and you're absolutely right. I mean, the thing is, the people who should be worried about lawfare are us, the people who could be accused of defamation or slander or libel by someone with bags of money who can just run it through the court. Doesn't matter if they win or lose. It fucks us because we've got to, pay stuff out of pocket. Even if we win, we lose. And the rich control that. The rich have so much power over that. And in these few cases where, something goes to trial, it possibly shouldn't have done. But, I mean, if there's enough evidence to take it to trial, you would expect there to be, some kind of resolution to that. And if the resolution isn't satisfactory to the powers that be, well, kind of tough luck a little bit. Because this is the thing, when we talk about what we can do to stop these civil cases being brought against us by the mega rich, which they love doing. Femi's been threatened with legal action. Russ in Cheshire, Russ Jones has been threatened with legal action. Even James O'Brien threatened with legal action. So all the people who are, on the left who have got a bit of a name for themselves, at some point they get threatened by some twat who says, "Oh, you call me a twat and I'm not a twat," when they clearly are. So any legal protections, I think, need to be put in place at the moment. Is to stop these frivolous lawsuits, this lawfare against us, not necessarily in criminal cases, in cases in Northern Ireland, where, as part of the Good Friday Agreement, we signed up to being fair and equitable and giving people a day in court. And if they didn't do it, or there's not enough evidence, then yeah, the case collapses, or they get found not guilty. But that's the legal system. Throwing that all away and saying, well, I don't care what they did, they shouldn't be prosecuted no matter what. I don't know. I don't think it's the smartest move. But what do I know?
To pour into our lakes, rivers and seas. Alongside tough new powers to combat pollution, this ban will put an end to plastic wet wipes that litter our beaches, clog up our sewers and harm wildlife.
David Chadwick.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Lloyds Bank have over 31,000 customers in my constituency, and yet many of those customers, particularly the elderly and the vulnerable, are struggling to get out their own cash. That's because Lloyds have closed their branches in Brecon, in Prestine, in Ustragunlice, and before the end of this month, in Pontedower. That's despite making billions in profits and paying their CEO £5 million. Will the Prime Minister write to Lloyds Bank and ask them to keep that last branch in Pontedower open?
Well, I'm grateful to him for raising that, and I'll look at the particular example that he's raised. As he will know, we're rolling out hubs. Some of them already in place and more to come, and I'll have the
They should
updates
roll
on
out
where
pubs.
they're likely to be.
Final question, Richard Quidley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Following the work of our APPG for eating disorders, I was horrified to hear that 19-year-old Lily Cliff, who suffers from anorexia, has been placed on an end-of-life care pathway after Rotherham, Doncaster and Southumberland NHS Foundation Trust obtained a Court of Protection ruling to withdraw her treatment. This decision directly contradicts NICE guidelines and the Minister for Care's own statement in September that eating disorders are not a terminal illness. Will the Prime Minister urgently review this case to ensure that Lily and her family receive the support they need and that Lily is given every possible chance to recover and live, and remind all ICBs, NHS and hospitals that suffering from an eating disorder is not a terminal illness?
Well, first, my thoughts are with Lily and her family, and the details he raises are really deeply concerning. I know he's raised this with health ministers, and I'll make sure he gets a swift response. He is a powerful advocate for change, and I share his determination that everyone with an eating disorder gets the care and the support that they need.
Let the front benches change over.
Okay, and they cut the sound. And that's my cue to leave these mofos. So, well, let's discuss. I thought that Kemi Badenoch did land a few blows on Starmer there, quite simply. I know she's not great at it, and someone said, "Oh, it's going to take her fucking years." Great quote. I don't know who put this in the chat, but I actually wrote it down while I was listening. Starmer takes a rule book to a knife fight. Who said that? Absolutely on the money. Thank you, whoever said that. You're completely right. What a monster, says Diz. I think you were talking about Rupert Lowe there, who's too disgusting even for reform. Who stood up and said we should bring back the death penalty. I mean, they get asked. They get asked some really stupid questions in Prime Minister questions a lot of the time. Like some really daft shit comes up. And that's fair enough. You've got these community MPs, looking after the constituents, and they've got something that's going on, and they say, will the Prime Minister come to my constituency on Friday where we're having the biggest mince pie ever made, validated by the Guinness Book of Records? And the Prime Minister's like, oh yeah, okay, great. But that question, why aren't we having a referendum to bring back the death penalty? Are you fucking kidding me? Are you? Fuck off. Like, we went past that. And Keir Starmer, to give him some credit, he went around the world explaining to countries as a human rights lawyer why they shouldn't have the death penalty. It's a fucking legal nightmare. Because you can't guarantee that you won't kill someone who's completely fucking innocent. The miscarriages of justice, if they were zero, yeah, fine, bring back the death penalty, just take out the people that, I don't like the look of, fine. But the fact is that people are thrown in jail routinely, every day, for crimes that they did not commit. And you can't bring someone back from the dead. You can't give them a bit of, kick them out of jail and give them a bit of compensation and say, on your way, lad, sorry about that. Because they're dead. Unbelievable. Anyway, but yeah, Rupert Lowe, that's one thing. But yeah, I thought that she managed to land a few blows on Starmer today for a change. Of course, as I said, when I paused the video, of course, it's easy for Starmer to just go, focus. It's easy for Starmer to just say, well, look at the situation you left. Look at the situation you left. You left us in this really bad situation. How dare you? How bloody dare you? I tell you what, listen, we haven't got any super chats in. Sorry to do this, but we haven't got any super chats in at all. So I'm just going to set a 15-minute timer for just getting. I was going to just do like 2 super chats, but the lowest you can do is 1 or 5. So I'll put 5 in. I don't think I'm going to get 5. But yeah, I'll just say, share how you celebrate. I've just put yay. I've just put the word yay in. Anyway, you don't have to. We're doing another show tonight. But yeah. And the whole point of Prime Minister's questions with, commentary and you chatting in the chat is so that to help me get through the abomination that is Prime Minister's questions each week. So thank you for doing that. Don't feel like you're obliged to get confetti. We've already had confetti once today in Morning Brew. One load of confetti should be enough. It doesn't half make a mess. In the old church where I was a choir boy, we didn't allow confetti at weddings because it was just such a nightmare to clear up. Because especially if it's wet outside, like if the floor's wet, and then you got this like tissue paper that just sticks to the floor. Anyway, look. No rice, no confetti. Anyway, I just add it later with Photoshop. Anyway, so the Prime Minister is currently under a lot of strain. And what I think is going to happen, and I could be wrong, is that he's going to hang on until this budget, right? If this budget is an absolute unmitigated disaster, i.e. it sends the markets into turmoil and it makes Labour's popularity go down to like 7% or something, then yeah, maybe we might be seeing an immediate change of guard in number 10. I think what's more likely to happen is that Morgan McSweeney, in the groups that I'm in, that I'm privy to within Labour, I don't think he's long for this world or the political world, by the sounds of it. I might be wrong again, but I think that Starmer should be able to weather the storm that's coming with the budget. but I don't think he's going to make it much further past the May local elections, just because I think it's going to be a fucking huge disaster for him, a huge win for refuck and the refuck fuckers. And people are saying, I've voted Tory and Conservative all my life, and I just want something different. The message that Labour need to get out is that refuck are just the Tories in disguise. You know, like Momentum, Tories in disguise. Sorry, probably offended some Momentum members in the chat, but you know, they didn't half help out the fucking Tories, didn't they? But yeah, we need a poster campaign with you know, Farage, and he's wearing someone holding a Farage mask, and behind is actually Boris Johnson or Rishi Sunak or Liz Truss. Liz Truss will be the best, actually. Liz Truss wearing with a mask in front of her, she's kind of holding it on a stick, and it's just, you can see enough of her face to make out who it is. That's what they need. So yeah, I can't see Starmer hanging on past the local elections if they're an absolute fucking disaster. And they're talking about perhaps taking out the Prime Minister now, so they're getting the bids in early, so to speak. However, something that I want you to remember, okay? We can look at the polls right now and go, fucking hell, they're a disaster for Labour, because they are. And we can look at the opinion polls for Keir Starmer and go, oh, they're a fucking disaster, because they are. But in the summer, in the May of 20, I think it was May, in the, I'm going to look it up now. Sorry. I'll be one moment. May. I was right. In the May of 2019, we had the European elections in the UK, right? Well, all across Europe. And in the UK, the Tories got 7% of the vote in that election. In six months later, they won a landslide victory in Parliament. Okay, so this is not to say that, this isn't to say Labour's done for. I don't think they are yet, but they definitely need to change direction. So here's what I think might happen, and I might be wrong, but I think we're going to have the budget, and as long as it's okay, as long as it's not a massive fucking disaster, Starmer will stay on. But I think that the noises calling for McSweeney to go are going to become so fucking loud and so difficult to ignore that they're going to have to let him go, possibly before Christmas, okay? Get a new chief of staff in who's more open to living in the real world in 2025, who doesn't want to just go around aping whatever Nigel Farage has to say about migrants or the rights of trans people. Let's get someone who is actually someone who cares about making this the best country in the world to live in. Not the best country in the world, full stop, because that's a daft thing to want. The best country to live in. The best place to live in the world. That's what I want this country to be. For the people who live here to be happy and feel safe and feel confident and to be having a good time. That's how I get my kicks. When I see people having a good time, whether it's at a party or a gig or a festival or even the footy or the rugby or the tennis, people coming together, having a good time, go to the park in the summer and have a fucking picnic. Fucking brilliant. Having a laugh with friends down the pub. Fucking brilliant. When I see people having a good time, it makes me feel good. And I know I'm not typical with that. I know there's a lot of people who see other people having a good time and it makes them angry and it makes them jealous and it makes them sad. But I'm not one of them. I want the best for the people of this country. The nice people in this country. The fucking horrors, the Nigel Farages, the Rupert Lowes, the Richard Tices. They're going to fucking burn in hell for all I care. At the moment, we have a setup where the millionaires are doing really well. They're having a laugh. They're having a good time. The rest of us, not so much. And that needs to be addressed. So hopefully they'll get someone in Labour as a chief of staff, chief advisor, SPAD, whatever the fuck you want to call them, who actually has the best interests of Britain at heart and knows how to communicate that with the public. Because that is a huge step forward. That would be a huge step forward. to achieving the goal, which is for a fairer, more equitable Britain, but also for Farage and his cronies to get their arses handed to them in the 2029 general election. And if it all hinges on one fucking person, wow. But yeah, even if Sweeney goes by the end of the year, if things don't improve for Labour by those elections in May next year, then I think Starmer's for the chopping block. Simple as that. Nick says, again to repeat, Starmer should use McSweeney as a scapegoat, blame him for the red lines and start afresh with the EU. I couldn't agree more, Nick. That would be the smart move. That would be the smart move at this place, at this juncture. Put all your sins onto McSweeney and then cast him into the political wilderness. Donald Trump and Elon Musk are having a lovely time lately. Yeah, the millionaires and billionaires are having a lovely time. That does not mean that we're having a good time. They have a lovely time by cruelly taking things away from us. So Elon Musk and Donald Trump famously took medicine and food away from starving orphans in Sudan and in Mozambique and in 100 other territories around the world where US aid was of critical importance to keeping babies alive. They took that away. And now they're taking food away from American citizens. American citizens not getting food anymore. They can go hungry. Kids going hungry in America. Kids going hungry in America. Fucking disgusting. Absolutely fucking disgusting what's happening over there. And that's the future that the fuckers want for this country. So back to PMQs. I thought that I wouldn't go so far as to say that Kemi played a blinder in this particular PMQs, but I think she did better than she's done in the past. And I think that she did manage to nail Starmer on a couple of those points, especially, you know, and he looked needled. He genuinely looked needled. He genuinely looked as enraged as and emotional as Starmer ever does, because, you know, he's Starmer. How long will it take for Trump's lawsuit to be denied, do you think? Oh, it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere, Aurora and Destine. It's just not. It's just not. And look out for the Aurora tonight, Auroran. If you're in the north, if you're at top north of England or in Scotland, please look north. And you hopefully, if the skies are clear tonight, you might get to see one of nature's most fantastic spectacles, the Northern Lights, the Aurora Borealis. Okay, dokie then. I'm going to head off. I didn't get any super chats. Oh, that's sad. Maybe I should have made it one super chat. Can I edit it? Can you edit this? Oh no. You can remove it. That's what you can do. And then I can do one super chat. Okay, there you go. One super one. Don't do it yet. Anyway, one super. We will get confetti. So while I'm waiting, you don't have to. But while I'm waiting, I will say, please join us tonight. Me and Rach are jumping down the rabbit hole tonight at 6 o'clock, and we're going, like Gary Newman, we're going to be talking about cars. In cars, we're going to be talking about our first cars. We're going to be talking about the cars that we loved. We're going to be talking about dream cars. We're going to be talking about how cars fuck things up for everybody. I'm going to be talking about that a bit. We're going to be talking about cars. Try not to be too political on the rabbit hole. It's supposed to be anything but politics. So come at us with your car stories, whether you're a car aficionado or whether you are a car hater, or you're a cyclist, or whether you appreciate the fact that the cool thing to be able to drive around in, but they're not doing the environment much good. Anyway, we'll be talking about that. I'm trying not to swerve into politics too much. We might be giving you our top 10 cars. I don't know if I know enough about cars to give you a top 10. Even though I grew up with a dad who's a racing driver and owned his own garage and fixed cars for a living, and basically I had to do that from the age of 11 to the age of 18. Every Saturday while my mates were going the fucking match, I had to go and sit in my dad's shop, freeze my arse off, sorting out, bloody jets for carburetors, fuel jets. Viper Scott, thank you very much for the £2. to make Diz happy. Yay! Confetti! Sid says we're all too broke, Graham. Yeah, I know the feeling, Sid. So I was talking this morning about how I just noticed on my bank statement that I've been charged £67 this month for Adobe Premiere and Adobe Photoshop. And I was like, oh my God, how long has this been going on for? So I looked on my app and I've been charged it for at least the last 3 months. This is what happens, that we don't have paper statements anymore, do we? So yeah, but I have a dear friend who works for Adobe, so hopefully they'll be able to sort me out. I've sent an email, fingers crossed. But if I do get that deal is going to cost me less than 2 months of what I've been paying for the last 3 months, maybe 4, maybe 5, maybe 6 months. I don't know how the fuck I missed this, because I do check my statements and my accounts and stuff quite a lot, because I'm always kind of I just about get enough in to pay off stuff. Just about to keep my head above water with all the debts and everything. But so typical, isn't it? I'm such a millennial. I know I'm a bit old to be a millennial, but I am a millennial. Let's face it. Got no job. Got no house. Got no car. I've got a fancy island. Vendetta shouts at me, stop using Adobe shit. Yeah, but if I stop using it, Vendetta, I can't access me fucking files that I've built up over the last nearly 30 years of using Photoshop and Premiere. That's the problem. And it's a big problem. Anyway, Affinity over Adobe. I'm making the switch as Nick did. Maybe I will. I'll look at it. If I get this deal, I'll have another year to think about it. But yeah, until then. Anyway, so thanks very much. You can request paper statements from your bank, I think. It says, yeah, I know, but I stopped that a long time. I stopped that. I use Adobe Express, and it's only £10 a month. Through my video reduction is quite a bit shitter. My video production is quite shitter than yours, Graham, lol. Yeah. But like, I've just finished doing this fucking animation, right, on Premiere, which took me fucking ages. Me and Mike Dix were working on it together, and I'll lose it. There's loads of other things where I'm kind of like halfway through an edit, and there's a short film that I made years ago that needs a sprucing up, and I've been working on the edit on that, like on and off over the years. And I know that you can probably open up Adobe Premiere projects in another system or whatever, but yeah, I'll have a look. Look, don't worry, I'll have a look at the alternatives, definitely. But right here, right now, I need to be able to use Adobe at least for the next few weeks. So, and I don't want to be paying that kind of money for it. Jesus Christ, that's a lot of money. If only there was somewhere I could get it for free. Anyway, thanks for the super chat, Viper Scott. Thank you for the confetti. And like I say, I'll be home. I'll be back. I was going to say I'll be home. I'll be back in 6 hours. No, 5 hours. God, I can't add up, can I? I'll be back in 5 hours for the rabbit hole with Rach, and we'll be talking about cars. So if you're interested in that, or even if you're not, you know, I'm sure the conversation will meander onto other things. But just to have a little bit of politics social where we don't have to talk about fucking politics. How good is that? Maybe we should do one. It's just all about travel. I'd like that. Okay, so until next time, I'll say thank you for watching. Thank you for suffering through PMQs with the rest of us. And I'll see you at 6 o'clock. If not, I'll see you tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock for Morning Brew. And until then, I'll say thank you so much for watching. Give us a quick like. Give us a quick like before you go. Always good to get a good like-watch ratio on this show. And I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.